Obviously, the entire chapter 5 we need to cover in these 2 lectures. So we need to run a bit faster. But I also understand that thirst of my friends on solving the question apart from learning the concept. So in today's lecture, we focus on solving the question. I will keep on using the pen tablet in order to solve as many number of the question we can solve in the class itself. Okay, our target is to solve at least 3 questions on the life cycle costing, then 2-3 questions on the Pareto. So in this way, we will move ahead. Now we'll take the examination question directly on the life cycle costing, because in the last lecture we learned about the life cycle costing. I'll give you a small brief on the life cycle costing. What we learn in the life cycle costing, that instead of seeing the cost of the indivisible financial year or the accounting period, we must see the cost which we incur over the product life. And the product life has 4 phases. The first phase is an introduction, then there is a growth phase, then there is a phase of the maturity, then there is a decline phase. What we need to do in the life cycle costing, we must try to control the cost over the lifespan of the product. Okay, need to ensure that the profitability must be there. Very good evening to all of you. We need to ensure that profitability must be there. So friends, there is a request to you that you need to pull out your calculator, pens, and the paper, of course, in order to solve the question along with me. We'll try to solve as many as questions possible for us in today's class itself. Okay, we'll start with this particular question, which was asked in the May 2018 for the 10 marks from the life cycle costing. So I request you all, those who are online and logging through the portal link which is given by the ICAI, they must keep on responding with the answers. Likewise, if we are on a step number 1, they must send me the answer of the step number 1, so that we can build a communication network or a communication between us. So that class must be interactive for you all. Okay, let's start solving the question. Let's read the first question, which was asked in the May 2018. The question was asked for the 10 marks. M&P Company Limited make digital watches. So the company is making the digital watching or producing the digital watches. The company is preparing a product life cycle budget for the new watch. So company is going to develop some new watch, and for which it just prepared the product life cycle budget. The budget which will contain the cost incurred during each of the phase. The phase of the introduction, the phase of the you can say that when product will be manufactured and sold in the market, the growth phase, and the decline and maturity phase. Moving further, the development of the new watch is to start shortly. Friend, this is very, very important line for us, that the development is yet to start. Why this is important line for us? Because we know that around 80% of the cost on any product will be committed or locked in at the design phase itself. So when we complete the design of the product, how the product will look like, and the design of the processes, how the product will be processed or manufactured, it tells us that this is going to be our cost, or the 80% of cost is locked in. So this is very important feature for us, or this is very important information for us, that still the development is need to take place. It means we can control the cost which we are going to incur over the life cycle of the product. Further, the estimate for the new watch are table. So in this table, the entire estimate is given to you. Now, what is required from us? Read the first requirement along with me, friends. We are supposed to calculate the budgeted life cycle operating income for the new watch. What we need to do? Budgeted life cycle operating income. Obviously, in order to compute operating income, we must know how much is our revenue and how much is our cost. And this is not the operating income for any individual year. This is the life cycle operating income. Hence, we need to reduce life cycle cost from the life cycle revenue. Let's start solving the question. The first information given to us is that the life cycle unit manufactured and sold will be 2.4 lakhs. So during the life of this particular watch, we will manufacture 2.4 lakh unit and we will sell 2.4 lakh unit itself. Further, the selling price per watch is 500. Can anyone tell me what will be our revenue? It is very easy to calculate. 2.4 lakh watches into 500 for each watch. Our revenue will be 12 crore rupees. In order to ease up the calculation, what we'll do? We will write the figures in the lakhs. Okay. Friends, those who are online, please keep on sending your answer as well. I will take your help in order to calculate the answer. Okay. Please help me in the calculation. Although I will do the calculation, but I believe it will be better for you and me both if you involve in the discussion. If you solve the question along with me, it will give you the confidence. You can solve the question in the examination condition. Okay. So what will be the revenue? Friends, it is 2.4 lakh unit into 500 for each unit. It will be 12 crore rupees, but we are going to write the rupees or the amount in the lakhs in order to ease up the calculation. So it will be 1200 lakhs. Moving further, the cost. How much is the R&D cost? The R&D cost is directly given to us 80 lakh. We write it 80 lakh. Okay. Further, the manufacturing cost. Firstly, the variable cost per unit to manufacture. It is 120. How many number of watches we need to manufacture, friends? We need to manufacture 2.4 lakh watches. So 2.4 lakh watches into 120 rupees. It will give me answer of 2 crore 88 lakh rupees. But we are writing the amounts in the lakh. So we will write it 288 lakh. Moving further, the batch processing cost. What is the name written? Variable cost per batch. But you, being a student of the costing, must read it batch processing cost. In order to process the manufacturing of one batch, you need to incur 4,000 rupees. But number of batches is not given to us. We must now need to compute number of batches. In order to compute number of batches, next information is very important for us. That is what? The watches per batch. The batch size is 300 watches. Can anyone tell me how many number of batches we are going to produce? Please, those students who are online, please tell me how much number of batches we are going to produce. Okay, I'm waiting for your answer. Side by side, I'm solving the question as well. 2.4 lakh watches we need to produce. And in each batch, we are manufacturing 300 watches. So the number of batches which we need to process are the 800. Again, please see along with me. How much number of batches we need to produce, friends? 2.4 lakh watches we need to manufacture. And each batch size is 300 watches. Hence, 800 batches we need to process. And what is the batch processing cost? 4,000. So 800 into 4,000. This will become 32 lakh. Agreed? Now moving further. Yes, very good. Rohita answer from Chittor. It's 800 batches. Absolutely fine. Leela from the Andhra Pradesh, 800 batches. Yes, absolutely fine. Both are correct. Now moving further. The fixed cost. It is strictly given to you. 112 lakhs. So we write it 112 lakhs. Moving further, marketing cost. Again, the variable cost per batch is given. It means you are selling in the lots, in the batches. What is the batch size? It is given you here. The batch size for the purpose of marketing is 96. Please mind, my dear friends, it may possible the batch size for the marketing or the selling may be different from the batch size for the manufacturing. Like in this question itself. Yes, very good. Hema also answer, Aman also answer from the Ahmedabad. Absolutely fine, friends. Now, understand one thing. It may possible that the batch size for the manufacturing and the marketing may be different. Like in the current case, 96 is a batch size when we market the product. It means we pack the box of the 96 batch or the 96 watches and send it to the market. But while producing, we are producing it in the set of 300. Okay, so there should be no confusion regarding this. Can anyone tell me how many number of the batches we need to market? Again, same formula. 2.4 lakh watches we need to market, and the batch size is 96. Okay, please answer this now quickly, all of my friends. How many batches we need to market? It will be 2500. And what is the batch cost? It is 24. So 2500 into 24, it will be 60,000. So I'm going to write 0.60 because we are writing the data in the, yes, absolutely fine. Ravi Teja Sharma from the Hyderabad, absolutely fine, sir. Moving further, friends. Fixed cost is given to you. It is 8 lakh. We write it 8 lakh. Further, the distribution cost. Variable cost per watch is given to you, that is 240. How many number of watches we are going to manufacture, friends? 2.4 lakh. Can anyone tell me what will be my distribution cost? Variable nature. What will be variable distribution cost? Yes, Rohita, correct answer. Hema, correct answer. Absolutely fine. Okay, calculate the variable cost for the distribution purposes quickly. 2.4 lakh into 240, it will be 5 crore 76 lakh. We will write it 576. Okay, the fixed cost is given to us, that will be 45 lakh. And then the last cost, customer service cost per watch, after sales services kind of thing. We may send a greeting message to them on their birthday. We may note their birthday day on the day when they purchase the watches from us, and whensoever their birthday falls due, we send them a message. So this may be the cost of such a nature, or this may be cost of after sales service to customer, or any other sort of the cost, but we need to include it simply. We need not to go into the discussion what sort of cost it is. Again, it is given to you per watch. Yes. Yes, correct answer, Leela and Nahima. Moving further, what will be after sale cost? It will be 2.4 lakh watches into 10. So it will become 24 lakh. Now, friend, can anyone tell me what is my life cycle cost? Starting from here, 80, and up till here, 24. Can anyone tell me what will be my life cycle cost of producing this watch? I will wait for your answer, then I will write the answer. Okay, quickly, what will be the cost to produce the watch during entire life cycle? 80 plus 288 plus 32 plus 112 plus 0.60 plus 8 plus 576, then addition by 4524. Quickly compute it, quickly. Quickly compute it. What is the total life cycle operating cost of producing 2.4 lakh watches? Good. The total operating cost of producing 2.4 lakh watches are 1165 lakhs 0.60. 11 crore 65 lakh 60,000. Okay, friends, what was asked to us? What we need to compute? We need to compute budgeted life cycle operating income. We need to compute the income, operating income. It means we need to take the operating revenue, which is 1200 according to the budget in the lakhs. And then we need to reduce the operating cost out of that, which was 1165.60. Hence, our operating profit in lakh will be how much? It will be 34.40 lakhs. Okay. So this is the answer to the first part. So this is the answer to the first part. I hope it is clear to everyone. Hema, you did one thing wrong. Friend, you need not to compute the revenue. I believe that you also add the revenue. Only in case of Hema. Only in case of Hema. Rest all answers are correct. Who sent me the answer? Like the Leela's answer is absolutely fine. Then the answer from the Muthu Lakshmi is also fine from Mudrai. Rest all students are answering fine. Absolutely correct. Only in case of the Hema, you need to correct. Please don't add this 1200. This is revenue. Okay. Now moving to the next part. Analysis or advice, the strategy to be adopted to develop the new watch. Please, friends, listen this very carefully. We being a chartered accountant or you being a budding chartered accountant, find number crunching very easy. But while we need to explain our answer, we need to advise, we find a bit trouble in order to quote the things. So we need to develop this skill in order to tackle the case-based paper. Okay, so that's why I'm discussing this answer along with you so that you can also develop your writing skill. Read the question again. There was a choice. Either you can compute the operating income or you can answer this. But we will do both because we are doing the practice here. So read along with me. Yes, read along with me. Advise the strategy to be adopted to develop a new watch. You need to advise the strategy in order to develop the new watch. So firstly, we will discuss what was the answer provided by the suggested answers. Then we will try to add something into that in order to add the value of the answer. Okay. Now, firstly, I tell you what was quoted in the suggested answer. Suggested answer simply quoted that the 80% of the cost usually committed when we design the product, and it was mentioned in the question that the development of the new watch is to start shortly. It means the design is going to be finalized shortly. Hence, by focusing on the design, we can save 80% or we can impact, not save, we can impact on the 80% of the cost. What we can do? We can design the watch in such a manner that its cost must be reduced. We can use the standardized component. Likewise, it may possible that we are using the strap in the other watches too, and the same strap we can use here. Obviously, if we are using the same strap of the watch, we need not to incur any rupee on the R&D. Our cost may reduces, and economy of scale may be there because that strap will be now produced additionally along with already the straps we are producing, and we can take the advantage of economy of the scale. So what they say, that design the product in such a manner, it must include all the feature which the customer desire at the lowest possible cost. Agreed? So they focus on the two things. It must include all the feature which customer desire, and we must try to produce it at lower possible cost. But you must acknowledge there is another way to answer this particular question, and that way is absolutely fine. What is that way? In the chapter number 1, you learn there are 3 generic strategies suggested by Michael Porter. What are those 3 generic strategies? The first one is we can differentiate from the other pair. Like we can add those features which the competitor are not giving. Number 2, friends, we can be a cost leader. We can give the same feature which the competitor are providing in the digital watches, but at the lesser cost, we will try to render those features. And number 3, focus. Focus is not important here. So how you can write the answer? You can say there are 3 strategies upon which the company can rely, out of which 2 are relevant here. The first one is the differentiation and the second one is the cost leadership. We can render the more function than our competitor, but at the same price, or we can render the same function, but at lower price. I hope it is clear to you what are the two strategies you can adopt while developing the product, because these two things need to be considered at design phase itself. What feature you need to add or remove, you need to decide at the design phase itself. Now quickly write down if it is clear to you. Otherwise, I'll explain it once again if any of my friends feel that there is a confusion in this. Okay? Quickly write down if it is clear to you, then we'll move to the next part. I'm waiting for you, friends. Quickly write down that it is clear to you. Then we'll move further. In the meantime, for your knowledge, I must tell you, friends, in the advanced manufacturing facilities means when we are working in those environments where there is a high use of machine, there is high cost committed during the design phase. Like we design the product, obviously we need to buy the machine according to the design we finalize. So huge cost is involved or invested. As against to that, if we are working where the production is labor intensive, not the machine intensive, then obviously we can also impact the cost at the later stage. So you need to see whether you are automated factory or less automated factory. According to that, this percentage may change. It may come down to 70 in some case. It may go down to the 60 even though in some case. It may go up till the 90 in some of the cases. Okay. Aman said, yes, it is clear. Raviteja Sharma asked one question. Sir, the major portion of the cost, the distribution cost, is amounting to the 50% of the total cost. Then how to treat that the 80% is? Your question is absolutely valid, friend. Ravi Teja, your question is absolutely valid. I'm going to discuss it at the point 3 because you can read along with me the requirement of the point 3. What is written here? Analysis revealed that 75% mentioned here in this question, although it can be 80, 70 as just I mentioned. The question itself is saying, analysis revealed that 75% of the budgeted total cost of the new watch will be locked at the R&D and design stage. And so we can't override this thing. And it may possible that while designing the question, the person who designed the question not giving attention to this particular thing, that the cost must be settled accordingly. And Ravi Teja, learn one more thing, which is very important, and it is important for every other student too. What is the question of the Ravi? The question of Ravi is this: sir, the distribution cost is a major component, and you can see that the variable distribution cost is 576 out of the 1165. So how we can say that at design phase we can control the cost? Please, this must be clear to all of you. Ye sabko clear hona chahiye. What is the point? We say that the 80% of the cost is committed during the R&D phase. We not said that 80% of cost is incurred. Only 80 lakh rupee here incurred when we are designing the product. But obviously when we design the product, what I mentioned, it is not only design of the product, it is also the design of the processes through which the product will be manufactured and sold. So obviously we design our distribution pattern in such a manner that we commit this cost here. Okay. So there are two things which you notice. Number one, obviously when any person frame a question, he may not give the consideration to such a fact that it must be correct technically too, because his intention is to ask or test you some numerical concept. Number one. Number two, we say that at the R&D phase, 80% of the cost is committed, not incurred. The cost will be incurred when you manufacture and sell that. But the cost is committed because you finalize the design of producing the product and the processes which you follow while producing and while selling. Okay. Now move to the part 2. compute the budgeted total product lifecycle cost incurred till the R&D and design stage. And you can see here, R&D and design stage cost you only 80 lakh out of total of 1165.60. So can anyone tell me what is the percentage? 80 divided by 1165.60. Because we need to compute the percentage. Quickly answer this. All my friends, quickly answer this. What is the percentage of the R&D and design cost? What is the percentage of R&D and design cost? It is only 6.86%. Absolutely correct. Those who are sending the answer. Yes. How much it is? It is 6.86%. So friend, understand one thing here. I'm going to draw it here for you. Let's say this is the design phase and this is your manufacturing and this will be the sale and the after sale. If I draw the curve of committing cost, when you design, you commit the high volume of the cost here. If this is your 100% cost, then around 80% of the cost you commit when you finalize the design. Okay. Then thereafterward, there is very few costs about which you take the decision. Majority of the decision you take here, how the product will look like, what raw material you are going to use, what processor you are going to use, and so your cost is committed. So this curve which I draw, this is of the committed cost. As against, if I draw the curve, how we incur the cost. At the design phase, we incur very less cost. Majority of the cost we incur when we manufacture the product, and the remaining cost then we incur when we sell the product. So you can see the difference. The cost incurred till the design phase in the current question itself is how much? It is only 6.86%. Agreed? Yes, Hema is correct. Then the Nivitha. I'm extremely sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correct. Nivitha is also correct, 6.86%. Kunal is also correct from Faridabad. Okay, friends, moving further. I hope now it is clear to you. Okay, now moving to the third part. What the third part try to ask to you? An analysis revealed that 75% of the budgeted total life cycle cost of the new watch will be locked in at the R&D and the design stage. What are the implications for managing the cost of the new watch? So what they ask you, the same thing which you asked in the second part, again they ask you here. They simply ask you what you will do, because you are knowing that the 75% of the cost going to be committed during the R&D. So what you will do during the R&D and afterward that? You simply need to answer. Because design phase is quite important. Hence, we will apply value engineering when we are designing the product. I believe that the meaning of value engineering is quite clear to everyone because we discussed this in the last lecture. But still, if any of my friends didn't attend the last lecture, I'm going to explain value engineering again for you. Value engineering is a systematic measure or the method which ensures that the product must carry all the features. So it designed the product accordingly. That product must carry all the feature which customer require of reasonable quality at the lowest possible cost. Hence, while developing the product, we try to do what? We try to implement the value engineering. And value engineering is a tool of which technique? Of target costing. So you can also write, we will apply target costing while designing the product. Even though suggested answer, also write this word. We will apply the target costing. Okay. It means what we'll say, target costing is a cost reduction technique or a cost control technique. It is a cost reduction technique. So till the design phase, we will emphasis on cost reduction. Okay. Even though afterward that, when we start manufacturing, we can rely upon the cost reduction. We can move to the Kaizen. But you must write, once we develop the product, we ensure that all the features are in the product. Then we can use no doubt Kaizen and the value analysis. But apart from that, we must also using cost control technique. And the cost control techniques are majorly budgetary control and standard costing. So there are some new things which I just added. अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा भारी होने लगा होगा. So what I'll do, I'll take a minute and ease the discussion for you. So listen very, very, very carefully. If you listen this thing once now, you will never be confused between the cost control and the cost reduction. And it will always be clear to you. Firstly, we'll take up the cost control. Friend, cost control should not be applied when the product is in the R&D stage. It should only be applied when we are manufacturing stage. Why? Because cost control try to control the cost by impacting the executive actions. Okay, so we must give the budget to the executive or the manager that you must produce within this much of the budget. We must try to give the standard cost that you need to produce within this, otherwise we'll consider the adverse variance and charge a penalty. Okay, but the cost reduction as against to cost control can be applied even though during the R&D phase, and can also be applied when the product is manufacturing. Again, I'm saying cost control shall be applied only when the product is in a manufacturing stage. When the product is in the designing stage, R&D is ongoing, then we must apply what? The cost reduction. Although cost reduction can be applied even afterward the R&D as well. But it is always preferable to apply the cost reduction during the R&D and apply the cost control after the R&D is completed. Okay. But while answering in the suggested answer, instead of using the word cost reduction, what word the institute use? Cost management. So if you see the suggested answer, it will write use the cost management, target costing till the product is in the R&D stage, and then thereafterward use the cost control. I hope now it is clear to everyone. Product is in the R&D, cost reduction is the best thing. Product now in the production or the sale or after sales stage, you can use either of the cost control and the cost reduction. So cost reduction has a wider application in comparison to cost control. Okay. Now we will move to the another question, friends. Please take a screenshot because I am going to erase the annotation. Okay. Please, all my friends, quickly take the screenshot. I'm going to remove the annotation. Okay. Okay, friends, another question for you. Up till now, the question which you seen in this chapter of the life cycle costing are those where you need not to include the time value of money. But it doesn't mean that in the life cycle costing, those questions cannot be asked where the time value of money need to be considered. Hence, this is the example which I inserted from this thought process, that it may be possible that in the upcoming examination, you will be asked with such a question where the time value of money need to be included. Okay. So please carefully read this question along with me. In the Light Limited, an equipment is about to replaced either by AMA or the SCM. So there is a company which is going to replace some equipment. The new equipment can be AMA and new equipment can be SCM. Both the new equipment will last for the 12 years. So the life of both the component, either AMA or the SCM, is the 12 years. The finances are available to the Light Limited at the rate of the 12%. I believe that you all are aware about this, that why this 12% is given to us in order to apply the time value of money. So we are going to use this 12% as a discount factor. One of my friend or any of my friend can say it it is the cost of capital, it is the marginal cost of capital, it is the opportunity cost rate. Any name you can give to this. But in short, in precise, if we need to say, this is nothing but our discounted. Okay, just give me a minute. Anjali from Punjab asks, sir, please explain part B again. Not understood. Anjali, are you talking about the this R&D percentage? I believe you are talking. Just give me a minute, friends. I feel that Anjali's question is regarding the R&D percentage. The second part which we solved in the previous question. Friend, in that, what was asked to us? R&D cost percentage of total life cycle cost. That we are supposed to do. And what was your total life cycle operating cost? That was 1165.60. And the R&D stage cost is how much? At the R&D stage, you only incurred 80 lakh rupee. So if you need to compute it in the percentage, it will be 6.86%. Okay. And then thereafterward, I explain one thing for you, that at the R&D stage, although the cost incurred by you is only 6.86%, but by incurring this 6.86%, you commit the design. Hence, the cost committed by you is around 80% of the product. We can take example. Although I'm in the small window, but I believe that this calculator is visible to you. If I ask, instead of a digital watch, my worker to manufacture this calculator, when the R&D phase will complete, they will manufacture the design of this calculator. So we know that what button we are going to install, what material we are going to use. Hence, when the R&D phase completed, around 80% of the cost of the product which we are going to spend, we know that this is going to be our cost. Hence, we commit the 80% of the cost. So there is a difference between the cost incurred and committed. At the end of the R&D phase, the cost incurred in the question was 6.86%, but the cost committed is approximately 80%. Although in the part number 3 of the question, it was mentioned 75%, and we will not challenge the question. But although usual trade understanding is that it will be 80%. I hope now it is clear. Okay. Pardon to all my friends that you may lose the interest. Now quickly regain the interest in this particular question. We are coming back to this question. Okay. In the light limited, an equipment is about to replaced either by AMA or by the SCM. Both the new equipment will last for the 12 years. So the life of both the equipment are 12 years. And the discount rate is 12%. Other estimated costs are tabled above. So the cost is given to you. AMA's initial cost, the cost of purchase is 28,000, and the SCM's cost of purchase is how much? 40,000. If any of a layman who is not aware about life cycle costing, what he will say? AMA is cheaper than SCM. Buy it. It is for 28,000 rupees only. But you people know, we are responsible for reducing the life cycle cost, not only the cost of purchase. Hence, we need to consider the cost going to be incurred over the life of the equipment. Hence, we need to consider this annual operating cost also. And this cost we are going to incur over the 12 years. And due to the diminishing utility of the money, the value should be adjusted with the discount factor. And the discount rate given to us in the question is 12%. So can anyone tell me PV of interest factor annuity? Friends, I'm waiting for you. Tell me what will be the discount annuity factor for the 12% for 12 years. How you need to, if someone need to calculate on a calculator, how you will calculate it? 1 divided by 1.12. 1 divided by 1.12. Why 1.12? Because 12% is the discount rate. But if you press equal to, this will give you the discount factor of 1 year. You need to press the equal to button for the 12 time, and then you need to press the GT button. Why we press the equal to button for the 12 time? Because we need to compute the discount factor annuity for the 12 years. Okay. Now quickly tell me, what will be the value here? 12%, 12 year. The annuity factor will be 6.194. Yes, Kunal is absolutely correct from Faridabad. 6.194. Okay. 6.19. Yeah. Yes. Other students are also correct who are sending me the answer. It's a 6.194. Absolutely fine. Friends, now quickly compute the PV of annual operating cost. How we will compute that? We will multiply this with 6.194. So 24,000 into 6.194. In case of AMA, the PV for the 12 year will be how much? Please compute it quickly. I'm waiting for your answer so that you can also come along with me. It will help you to connect with me. Yes, Anjali is also correct. Chavi is also correct. Good. Present value of EMA is also computed by Chavi and the Kunal. Absolutely fine. Good. It is 148,656. Similar way, compute the value for the SCM as well. Quickly. Compute the value for the SCM as well. It will be 111,492. Yes, correct. Okay. Now, in order to compute the life cycle cost, what we need to do? We need to add the initial cost which we incur at the year 0. And this is given to you at the present term itself. And this present value which going to be incurred from year 1 to year 12, but we computed the present value of this thing. Now compute the total life cycle cost. This will be 28,000. This plus 148. It will be 176. Yes, some of my friends are computing it. Yes, absolutely fine. Good. It's a 176,656. Whereas in case of SCM, what is your life cycle cost? After considering the time value of money, it is 151,492. Good. Which one is cheaper, friends? Quickly answer. Do we now go for the AMA or we need to go for the SCM? SCM cost us 1,51,492, whereas AMA cost us 1,76,656. Good, Hema from Chennai. Absolutely fine. Your answer is absolutely correct. Okay, just write down EMA or SCM. Obviously, we are taking decision based upon the cost. So we are picking up the less value. Hence, we will go for SCM. Now, with the help of this question, you see that instead of considering the cost of purchase, if we consider the life cycle cost, obviously our decision may change. Absolutely fine. So based upon life cycle cost, we will go for SCM. Correct. Quickly take the screenshot of this question. Then we will move to the next question. Okay. I'll give you a minute. Yes. Anjali is correct. Chavi is correct. Kunal is correct. We should go for SCM. Yes. Absolutely fine, friends. Quickly take the screenshot. We will move to the next question now. Done? Okay. The question was asked in the RTP November 2019. Okay. I hope the question is visible to all of you. Read the question along with me. What it says, the mold and the die was established in the year 1980. I'm reading the first paragraph, friends. And has the numerous wealth of experience in the mold manufacturing industry. Serves the wide range of the plastic molds all over the nation. Okay, I hope it is clear to you the three important facts about the M. Further, data pertaining to the product M are given you as follows. So they gave you some of the design cost, then manufacturing cost, then selling cost, then administration cost, then the warranty cost. Now, what we are required to do, compute the product M's life cycle cost. Note, ignore the time value of money. You need not to consider the time value of money. Let's start solving this question. In order to ease the calculation, we again compute rupee in the lakhs. Okay. We will consider the rupee in lakhs. Friends, the first cost, the cost of design and development of the mold, die and other tool in order to produce the product M, which is 8.25 lakh. We will write it here, 8.25 lakh. I believe there is no confusion in this to anyone. Moving further, manufacturing cost. What is the per unit manufacturing cost? 125. How much number of the unit we need to produce? 80,000 unit we need to produce. So this will become how much? It will become 1 crore. But we are writing the amount in the lakhs. So we will write it 100. Further, selling cost. There are two sort of the selling cost. One is the fixed, which is 12,500 per year. Second is the variable, 100 rupee per unit. Let's first consider the variable cost. 100 per unit. How many number of the unit we need to produce, friends? And sold? 80,000 unit need to be produced and the sold. Hence, the variable cost will be 80,000 into 100. It will be 80 lakh. This is the variable cost. Okay. And the fixed cost, which is given on the yearly basis, that is 12,500 per year. And the product life is of 4 years. So multiply it with the 4. So your fixed cost will be of selling 0.5, because it's a 50,000 and we are writing the amount in the lakhs. Hence we will write it 0.50. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes, Chavi is answering it will be 1 crore. Yes, fine. Keep on computing the data, friends. Keep on computing the data. Good going. Moving further, administration cost. It is given to you again on yearly basis, 50,000 per year. What is the life of the product? 4 years. So what will be the total administration cost? It will be 2 lakh rupee. So we write 2 lakh rupee. Okay. Now moving to the warranty cost. Here you need to spend a minute around. Here is the learning for us. Read the first point. For each 25 unit, there are 5 cases where the warranty is invoked to replace the part only. तो हर 25 यूनिट जो हमने सेल करी उसमें 5 यूनिट के ऊपर वारंटी इन्वोक होती है. For every 25 unit which we sold, for the 5 unit warranty is invoked by the client. So can anyone tell me for 80,000 unit of the M, how much number of the warranty cases we need to consider? Apply the unit method. If for 25, there are the 5 cases. For 80,000, there will be 16,000 cases. Agreed? Yes, absolutely fine. Good. Is it clear to everyone? There are how many cases of the warranty? How many units come for the warranty? 16,000 unit will invoke the warranty. Okay, how we compute it? If 5 unit against 25 against 80,000, there will be 16,000 unit. Okay, now read further. Each such replacement cost to M&D rupees 10, including the cost of part and the replacement cost. So 16,000 unit come back to us, on which the warranty was invoked, and we need to replace a part. And for replacing the part, we need to incur 10 rupee. So 10 rupee into 16,000, it will be 1.6 lakh. Okay. It will be 1.6 lakh. Kunal, you need to compute the unit again, Rajiv. Please, Kunalji, you need to compute the unit again. Read the first line. For 25 units sold, there are the 5 cases where the warranty is invoked. If for 25 unit, 5 cases are there, for 80,000, there will be 16,000 cases where the warranty is invoked, and warranty cost us rupees 10 to replace the part. So 10 into 16,000, it will be 1.6. Hema is correct. Yes. Moving further. Further, for each 500 unit sold, 1 visit is required, which cost M&D rupees 500. Obviously, when there is a call from the customer that the product developed some sort of defect, we need to reach to the customer location in order to correct the defect. And what he says, for every 500 unit, there is a requirement of 1 visit. So for total 80,000 unit, how much number of the visit we need to conduct? We need to conduct 160 visits. We need to conduct 160 visits. And 1 visit cost us how much? 1 visit cost us 500 rupee. So can anyone tell me what is the cost of the visit? The cost of visits are 80,000. Friends, mind it. Warranty expenses involve 2 sort of cost. What are those? Yes, Kunal, no issue. No issue, Kunal. I believe so that you forgot to multiply it with the 5. No issue. Okay, moving further. Friends, mind it. Warranty expenses are of 2 types. First, replacement of the part. Second, visiting cost to replace the part. Okay. So this is what replacement of the part, and this is the visiting cost. So can anyone tell me what is the life cycle cost now? Because this is our requirement. We need to compute the life cycle cost. 8.25 plus 100 lakh plus 80 lakh plus 0.05 plus 2 plus 1.6 and then add 0.8. Yes, good. Rohita from Chitur, absolutely fine. Chavi from Haryana, absolutely fine. Quickly compute it. How much is your life cycle cost? It will be 1 crore 93 lakh 15,000. We compute it in the lakh, so we must write it 193.15. This will be your answer to the first part. Okay, this will be the answer to your first part. Yes, Lakshmi from Madurai, absolutely correct. Friend, you are absolutely correct. Emma from Chennai, correct. Anjali, you need to recalculate. There might be some calculation mistake. It is 8.25, this is 100, this is 80, this is 0.05, this is 2, this is 1.6, and this is 0.8. Recompute your total, friend. I hope the first part is clear to everyone. We can move to the second part. Read the second part along with me. What is asked to you? So just the two ways to maximize the M's life cycle return. How the life cycle return can be enhanced. Friends, in order to consider this, we will refer to the note number 12 of our lecture notes. Okay. So firstly, take the screenshot of the screen. Then we will move further. Kunal, your answer is correct. Rohita, your answer is correct. Quickly take a screenshot so that we can move to the note number 12 in the study notes. Okay. Take a screenshot. I hope you've taken the screenshot and we are allowed to move further. Okay, friends, in the last lecture, we left our discussion while discussing the benefits. These benefits given on the page number, given on the page number 4.29 of the study material. Okay, but these two topics are new. The note number 11 and then there afterward the note number 12, which I inserted for you, which I feel you must read because again you will find the question on this particular aspect. The note number 11 firstly we'll cover and then we'll cover the note number 2, which will answer the part 2 of the question which we were solving. Note number 11, try to... Okay, Raja Anjali, yes, absolutely fine. Thank you, Anjali. Note number 11, try to make a summary which cost is incurred at which stage. Although if you see this table, the research cost may be incurred when the product is in, you can say that at its end of life or in the decline stage in order to do minor changes in the product so that we can take the benefit of the product extension. Hence, this table is not a kind of a guarantee that this cost will only be incurred during this particular phase, but the significant portion of the research cost will only be incurred in the design phase. So the thing which I mentioned to you, that it may possible that the material cost or the labor cost, obviously we need to prepare the prototype when we are developing the design. Hence the material cost will be incurred at the design. The labor cost will be incurred when we are in design. The labor cost will incur when we are at the end of the life. So there is a no fixed attachment that the cost will be incurred only in the stage against which it is written. But if we see the significant percentage now, it will be incurred in these phases only. Hence, this is the table in order to, you can say that, consolidate that what are the various major costs incurred during each of the phase. Please mind it, these phases are not written according to the product life cycle. Instead, these phases are written according to the development of the product. Okay. Now moving to the note number 12. What was asked to us in the part 2 of the previous question? You tell us some way through which you can maximize the product return over its life cycle. This is the life cycle of the product. Product enter into the introduction phase, then the growth phase, then the maturity phase, then finally the decline phase. We asked how we can increase the profit during these phases. The first way, value engineering. When the product is in the designing phase, we will try to perform the value engineering through which we design the product and the processes in such a manner when we produce the product. Obviously, when we produce the product, when we introduce the product in market, when there is a growth phase, we are selling the high number. When there is a maturity phase, when there is a decline phase, we are selling during these phases. So whenever we are manufacturing, when the product is live in the market, it costs us cheap. The manufacturing cost will be less. So prior to start of this thing, when we are developing the product here, We must develop the product at the lowest possible cost with the help of value engineering, so that whensoever we are manufacturing the cost during the life of the product, it will be cheaper to us. Okay. Taken another example of this. If I'm a manufacturer of this whiteboard marker, what I will try to do, I will try to design this marker in such a manner that it will cost me cheap whensoever I'm manufacturing it. Likewise, instead of having this cap of a different color, I will produce it of the same color, so that I will need to buy the plastic of the one color only, which will give me the benefit of economy of the scale, because it is not going to change the use or the utility of the marker. Okay, moving further, friend. What is the second way to do so? Reduce the time to get into the market. Why reduce the time to get into the market? Because as early you enter into the market, your competitor will find less time to launch their product. If you take so many, you can say, days to launch your product after the announcement that you are going to launch some product, the competitor already start preparing at their end. They will also launch some counter product to your product, and you may not get the same benefit in the market. You may not tempt the customer with your product. Hence, try to launch the product as early you can. What is the third way? Maximize the life cycle of product. How you can maximize the life cycle? With the help of product development. Develop some new feature when the product is on in the market, or with the help of market development. Try to go into the new geographical regions, sell the old product, like Haldiram Aloo Bhujia. They earlier sold their product in the India, and now they moved to the abroad, and in the Europe it's easily available, even though the rest of the part of the words as well. So you can also go for this market development. So this may be one of the way to tackle up the things. Okay, so mind the three ways through which you can enhance your profitability. Apply the value engineering at the research and design phase, then reduce the time of launching the product. Try to be in a market as early as you can, so that your competitor will take time, they will lag behind you. And further, the last one, try to maximize the life cycle. Okay, with this, friend, we covered almost entire theory or theoretical concept of the life cycle costing, and also try to solve the possible number of the question which we can do. Note out the two questions which was given in your study material. The one question is Y connection, and another question is PG International Limited. That I'm not covering in the classroom itself due to the shortage of the time. But it doesn't mean that you can't ask query on those questions to me. Solve those questions. If while solving those questions, any or doubt develop in your mind, in the next class, you are free to ask me. I promise you that I will open the question for you and solve that. If any of a doubt arises while solving those questions, I will write the name of those two questions. The first question, which we not discuss in the class on the life cycle costing, is Y connection. Okay. This question is given on the page number 4.3 of your study material. The another question is PG International Limited, and this question is given on the page number 4.50 of your study material. Okay, solve these two questions. If any of a query you have, come back to me in the next lecture, which will be held on a Monday. I will solve it for you. Okay, there is no reservation that we are not going to take it. Due to the shortage of time, I can't solve all 20 questions which is related to chapter number 4 in the class, but I'll surely solve the 17 or 18 questions along with you. So 2 questions we are just, you can say that I'm giving you as a homework, which I feel that you must solve. Okay, friend, I'm believing that because the paper nature is a case-based paper, and there is no case up till now inserted in the life cycle costing. And no case is asked even in the RTP and MTP. If the case is asked, it will be pretty much new for you in the examination condition. So in order to equip you, in order to, you can say that, inculcate the skill in you to handle the case study of the life cycle costing, what I did, I insert the case study on the Maruti in the study notes. Okay, and it's very useful. It tried to differentiate the phases: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline of the product life cycle based upon the movement in the sale of the car. Okay. So we'll spend a minute or two on this case study because I feel that it's quite easy. If you study it at your own self, you will get a very clear picture. So we'll save time here and then we'll move to the Pareto. But I'll spend a minute here in order to discuss a few facts regarding this Maruti case study along with you. Maruti starts selling the car in the year 1983 in India. During the 31 year up till the 2014, they produce or imported in totality 2.87 million, around 28.7 lakh cars, and out of which 2.66 means 26.6 lakh cars they sold in India only. So Maruti can truly be said as a car of India. For first 3.5 years, there is no player in the Indian market apart from the ambassador. Hence, there is no hard or a tough competition to them. And it was the cheapest at them. So people are very much keen to buy the Maruti. And there is a long wait list. Like it took the 3 years that you book the car and you'll get the car. Because the production run are small. That is what we learned in the previous class. But the demand is high. This is what happened when the Activa's Neo version launch or the iPhone version launch or the Nano was launched. You book the Nano and you'll get the Nano after the 12 month of the booking date. Okay, moving further, growth stage. The car market in India developed slowly and the people slowly become economically empowered and start buying the automobile vehicles. And Maruti really witnessed the good time for the 13 years between 1986 to 1988. But in the year 1988, the Tata start producing the car in India. Although in 1988, they come with the first indigenous car, Indica, but 1988, they start producing the passenger vehicle in India. General Motor in year 1994 start producing the Opel, and Ford in year 1998 start producing the vehicles, which later on become the Ford Icon. So competitions start occurring to the Maruti, or they start feeling the heat of the competition in the growth stage, because the other competitor feel that there is good scope to sell the four-wheeler in the Indian market, so they also start manufacturing the four-wheeler. But still, the Maruti is in a high demand. And year 1999 was a golden year when their sale touched 2 lakh figure. You can see here, a company manufactured total 28 lakh car during its lifetime. And out of that, 2 lakh car, they sold in a 1 year itself. In order to sell total 28.7 lakh car, they took 31 years. It means in each year less than 1 lakh car. But in a particular year, 1999, they sold 2 lakh car. It was a peak of their sale. And what we learned, that after the introduction growth, there is a majority when your sale is at the peak and then there is a decline. And the similar happened to the Maruti. What happened to the Maruti, friends? In the year 2004, the Maruti was not remained the best selling car in India. Maruti was replaced by their own Alto. In the year 2004, the sale of Maruti start seeing decline. Okay, they were replaced by the Maruti Alto. So what happened in a year 2009 and 10, the sale volume reduced to 33,000, and in year 2010 itself, they signed the shutdown plan, how they will slowly shut down the production. And on the 18th of January 2014, the last car was rolled out from the assembly line, and finally they stopped the production, and they didn't move to the Bharat Stage 4 emission norm or the Euro 4 emission norm. Although, if they wish, they can extend the life of the Maruti by moving to the advanced version, by changing the engine to the advanced version, but they decided that they will not sell. Why so? Because they understand if they now try to sell, this car is sold this much in the market, there is no craze to buy this car. And it's not only 2014 when they stopped the sale. Even though in the top 13 cities, which include the 4 metro, they stopped the selling car in the April 2010 itself. If the people have capacity to buy the larger car of Maruti, why the Maruti will sell Maruti 800? If the people have the capacity to buy the XS4 of the Maruti, because it was launched something near to the 2009 or 10 in the Delhi, in the Bombay, in the Calcutta, in the other big cities, then why they will sell the 800? So they stop 800 from the sale in year 2010 itself in the 13 cities. Although after the 2014, obviously they didn't sell it. Again, they launched it with the name the Maruti Alto 800. Okay, so this is a kind of an hint in order to understand that how you can decide the one phase is over and another phase is started. Okay, so friend, please allow me to wind up this life cycle costing, and now we will move to the another topic, and that is Pareto analysis. I hope it is visible to everyone. After learning few facts about the Pareto, no doubt we will take the break. Okay, I'll give you the break after learning about the Pareto and solving one or two question on the Pareto, because Pareto is not a very, you can say that lengthy topic. It's a very small topic, and there is very limited concept which we need to learn in this. So let's emphasis on the Pareto, and then we'll move further. Okay, if you wish to take a minute break or a two, okay, take it now, but we are not going to leave the discussion. I'm just giving you a small power break of a minute. Okay, take a minute power break. Just to, you can say that, stretch your body. Okay, just take a minute break, and then we'll start discussing the Pareto. Okay. Don't move, don't leave your computer, and don't leave the calculator and the pen also, because it will took us only 10 minutes to discuss the theoretical aspect of the Pareto. Then we'll move again to the questions. Just stretch your body so that you feel refreshed, and we can learn the next concept. Okay. I hope you all are refreshed. We can start the discussion. Let's move on, friends. Friends, if you ask me to explain Pareto, I will first ask you to discuss, or you can say refresh or brush up our knowledge on the strategy. If someone asks me that what is a strategy, I'll focus on the three features. Strategy is a specific plan. Why it's a specific plan? Because it's specifically based upon your SWOT analysis. In order to obtain or achieve the objectives of the organization, and that's too with the scarce set of the resources. If the resources are freely available, you need not to make the strategy. If the fund is freely available, no one will hire the finance manager. Fund is limitedly available, and we need to optimally utilize that. That's why we need to hire a finance manager. It means one among the three important features of strategy, the one feature is what? That it tackles the issue of scarcity of the resources. Obviously, in the business, the resources are scarce, but there are the many areas where we need to deploy those resources. The resources may be money. The resources may be the time of the management. The resources may be the labor hours. So we need to deploy our time, our money on various issues. Now question arises, if the resources are scarce, on which issue we must spend, we must fully focused, and which of the issue we can ignore. In order to identify those issues which are strategic in the nature, The concept which we can use is the Pareto analysis. Agreed? Friend, the first note and discussion under that is given on the page number 4.31 of your study material. Why I'm mentioning this thing? So that you can link these notes with your study material. Okay. Now read very important line with me. Although there is no utility of this line in the examination, but it will give you a kind of a background. There was Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. In year 1896, he conducts a research study in his university where he noticed that approximately 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population in Italy. So what Mr. Pareto noticed that there is a phenomena of 80-20. And later on, the principle which Pareto gave famous as 80-20 rule. So one simply can say your 80% of the effort give you only 20% of the result or the successes. Whereas the 20% of your effort give you the 80% of your result. Now friends, listen this thing very carefully. It may happen when you start preparing for the exam, you spend your 80% of the time on discussing or learning 20% of the concept. And then you spend remaining 20% time to discuss the 80% of the concept or learning the concept. If you are not efficient during this exercise, you will lose only 20% of the syllabus. But if you are not efficient or focused during this exercise, you will lose 80% of the syllabus. So obviously, this is very much important. So if with the help of 20% of effort, we can generate the 20% of the result. So which effort we need to focus? The 20% or remaining 80%? Obviously, this 20%. Agreed? So Pareto analysis help us to identify which are the factors important for us. When the later on, after the Pareto gives the principle, people start using it. What they start saying? That this 20% effort, which will cause 80% of the result, which has an impact on the 80% of the result, must be said vital few. What is the name of these? Vital few. Again, I am writing for you. VITALFEW. Vital few. Whereas the remaining 80% of the effort must be said trivial many. So if in the paper, MAN, if in the paper you will find the name Pareto analysis, you find the name 80-20 rule, or you find the name vital few and trivial many analysis, the meaning should be taken same. Agreed? I hope it is clear to you. Now the question arises, is the Pareto analysis is applicable to strategic cost management or the cost management? Answer is given by Joseph M. Juran, who is considered as father of quality management. What Mr. Juran said? This vital few and trivial many is applicable to the cost management. He used the Pareto principle and devised or coined two terms. What is the first term? Pareto analysis. Pareto analysis is nothing but identifying the 20%. And the Pareto chart. Pareto chart is nothing but graphical presentation of the Pareto analysis. It is a graphical presentation. Which are the fact important? Which are the fact not important? Which are the reason important and which are the reason not important? Up till now, in your study material, only Pareto analysis is covered. I'm very much sure that in the upcoming examination or in the upcoming attempt, the Pareto chart may be asked. So in this notes, I will practice the Pareto chart along with you, how we can draft or draw the Pareto chart. Okay, so this is our learning for this particular topic. This is our, you can say that, additional value generation from this particular topic. Okay, now friend, let me tell you a small story in order to understand how Pareto principle will be applicable to the cost management. Mr. Juran said, if we see a company who is manufacturing certain particular product, then obviously this product may not be foolproof or not of a pure quality. There may be some sort of the defects, and the defects are caused by various reasons. The reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, and reason 4, and so on. If we wish to remove these defects, these wastage, we need to focus on these reasons. But what Mr. Zuran said, there will be only 20% reason which caused 80% of the defect. So it may be possible the reason 3 cause 80% of the defect. If we tackle the reason 3, or 80% of the wastage or defect removed. So in this manner, Joseph and Zuran help to apply the Pareto principle on the cost management as well. Agreed? In order to understand this further, let's move further and we will solve a case on this. And then we read the note number 3. We will not read the note number 3 first. We will read the note number 3 afterward. Firstly, we will solve this particular question. Okay. Let's start solving this particular question. Now I need a response from you all. Okay. You all need to be now active again. In order to send me the responses in the query box, I'll keep on updating or refreshing the query box in order to see your answer as well. Okay, friends, read the question along with me. The tabled information is about the type of the defect during the production period and the frequency of their occurrence in a specs manufacturing company. So there is a particular company which is making the capitals or the specs, and they are facing these 7 sort of the defects. What are the defects? End frame is not equidized, non-uniform grinding, the power mismatch. It means one glass is of one number and another glass is of another number. Scratches on the surface, the spot or the stain on the lenses, rough edges of the lenses, and the frame color or the shade is different from the color which is ordered by the customer or which is supposed to be manufactured. Okay. If we see the number of the defects or the number of the instances of each defect, you'll find the first defect occur only 10 times. The second defect occur for 60 times, whereas the fourth defect occur 110 times, and the second last defect occurs 70 times. Friend, if I ask you to establish the order of significance, what is the name of order? Order of significance. Then which defect you feel is most significant? I will give you time to answer because I wish that you all must be involved in the discussion. Instead of writing the full name, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now tell me, if I ask you out of these 7, which one is most significant? Which one is such a nature? If I remove that defect, it will give me the maximum benefit. My defect will be reduced largely. Which problem I must tackle first? Should I tackle the end frame problem first, or should I tackle the scratches on the surface first? Okay, take the time. I'll give you a minute or a 30-second. You must respond back quickly. Take your gizmo device in your hand and quickly answer. What should be the order of significance? Which defect I should focus on the first? Should I focus on the non-uniform grinding? Should I focus on the scratches? Should I focus on the sprain? At which thing I must focus first? Quickly. Fifth, scratches. Scratches. Defect 4. Scratches. 5th. Kunal, why you write 5th? Anjali, why you write 5th? Rohita answer correctly. Muthalakshmi answer correctly. Hema correct. Shavi is also correct. Okay, learn along with me, please, quickly. Friend, the first defect or the reason at which we will work, that will be the scratches. You can see if we correct this problem, this particular problem, it will solve the 110 cases where the defect arises. Okay. If you see the total number of the instances, there are 300 instances when defect found. If I solve this problem, I will solve 110 cases of the defect. Obviously, 110 is more among these. So this will be first item on which I must be focused. This will be the second item on which I must be focused. This will be the third item on which I must be focused. This will be the fourth, and this will be then fifth, and this will be then sixth, and this will be the last one, the seventh item I need to focus. So whensoever there is a question of Pareto, what you need to do, friends? You need to, yes, moving further, good. Raviteja is also correct. Yes, Leela is also correct. Fine. Friends, whensoever there is a question of the Pareto, what you need to do? You need to develop the order of the significance. And according to the order of significance, you need to rewrite the defects. Now, what is the first item? That is the scratches you see here. We write down the scratches first. This is the first item. It means we try to spend our resources to improve firstly on the scratch problem. Then we move to the next problem. Okay, what we are doing? We are following the law of diminishing return. Firstly, we are spending our resources because resources are scarce. Firstly, we are spending our resources where the payoff is high, where the profit is high, where the expected benefit is high. We are solving the problem here. By solving the problem, how many defects we able to reduce? 110. Again, we solve the problem. But by solving this problem, how many defects we able to reduce? Only 70. So where the payoff is high, where the expected benefit is high? Obviously in the scratches. So we must read or write the order of significance in order to develop the sequence in which the defect is need to be written. I hope now the technique is clear how we tackle in the practical life this sort of the problems. We simply ask, when as being a cost and management expert, I used to talk to the factory manager. I simply ask, okay, tell me what are the problem you have and what are the number of the instances. The manager, if tell me the instance of this problem is high, I focus on that instance. Okay. So this is the golden rule. You need to develop order of significance and then need to write accordingly. Okay, friend, we simply write it is a 110, then 170, then according to the order of significance we develop. Now, total number of defect are 300. The problem 1 will causes 110 times out of 300. Can anyone tell me what is the percentage? What is the percentage of the defect caused by scratches? The percentage caused by the scratches are 36.67%. How I computed? 110 divided by 300 into 100. This will give you the answer of 36.67. Absolutely fine. 110 wala. Yes, Sanjay. Okay, moving further. I hope now it is clear to you. After writing the defects again in the order of significance, what we need to do? We need to calculate the percentage represented by that defect of the total defect. So what is the percentage represented by scratches of the total defect? It is 36.67%. And accordingly, we write down the other percentages. Even though you can check 5 by 300 into 100, it will be 1.67%. Agreed? Then afterward, what we need to do? We need to compute cumulative percentage. This is the individual percentage, percentage of the scratches, percentage of the rough edges, percentage of the non-uniform. And this is what, this is the cumulative. This is 36.67 due to the scratches. Then we add 23.33 to this will become 60%. Then we add 20% this to this 60%, this will become 80%. Then we add 8.33, it will become 88.33%. Okay, I hope this table is quite clear to you. So now see, 80% of your defect, I'm drawing a line for you. 80% of your defect caused by only 3 reasons. What are those 3 reasons? Scratches, rough edges, and non-uniform grinding of the lenses. So these 3 will be said as vital few, and whereas the remaining 4 will be said as trivial many. Agreed? I hope now you are able to do the Pareto analysis. Pareto analysis, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Your percentages are equally good. Chavi and Hema both good. Friends, what Pareto analysis help you? Pareto analysis help you to solve a bigger problem or to break a bigger problem into the small pieces. What? Point 1. What is the problem? That there are defects. What you did? Please learn the methodology, how we actually implement. What is the second step? You try to look for the reasons. What are the reasons? You identify these 7 reasons. Then we think, should we focus on all the reasons? No, we can't focus on all the reasons because resources are scarce. Then you look for vital few on which we must focus first. Agreed? So the problem of the defect or the wastage is a bigger problem. With the help of the Pareto analysis, we break down the problem. We identify the area where we need to focus. So Pareto can be used as a management tool to control any problem. Pareto analysis can help the management to identify the sources on which we need to focus. By focusing on these causes, we can improve the performance. Now, what I just mentioned, okay, let me remove this. Read the note number 3 quickly. What is mentioned here? That management can use the Pareto analysis in the different circumstances to focus on a key area as a control mechanism. Please, friend, underline the word different circumstances. These different circumstances is nothing but the various use cases of Pareto analysis, which we'll study in the note number 4 of these study note itself. And there was a direct question asked in the May 2019 for 5 marks. What are the various use cases of Pareto analysis? We'll solve that question just in a next 5 minutes. Okay. So read this line again. The management can use Pareto in different business circumstances to focus on the key area. We are not looking all the area of the defects. Like in this question itself, we look only the 3 areas: the scratches, the rough edges, and non-uniform grinding of the lenses. In order to develop a control, by just focusing on the 3 areas, we can remove 80% of the defects. Agreed? Further moving, the Pareto ranks the causes in the decreasing order of the defect. It means firstly we keep where the effect is high, significant, and then we write the item whose effect is not significant or effect is less. It means it is writing down the things in the order of significance. Further, hence help to identify the payoff. The item which we write at the top, the first item, high payoff. Second item, lesser payoff. Third item, lesser payoff. Payoff here means the benefit, expected benefit. If we tackle the problem of scratch, we can solve the 110 cases. If we tackle the problem of rough edges, we can only able to tackle the 70 problem. Okay, so this is the meaning here. of identifying the payoff. It is obvious the focus will be on the top item, means the vital few, because these have higher probability of the payoff. I believe the concept is quite clear to you. What is a Pareto? Now, just to summarize, Pareto help you to identify vital few on which the focus should be of the management. Agreed? Pareto help you to identify the vital few of any problem on which the focus should be of management in order to control. I believe it is quite clear to you. We can move forward. Now the Pareto chart, friends. This is the new thing for you. I will spend. Okay, Kunal, no issue. It might possible that you'll get confused with something. No issue. I know that you are responding very well. Yes. So, friend, here I will spend a minute for you because I'm expecting that this thing will be included in the upcoming edition of the study, obviously, and obviously it is having the importance as well. You must know this thing. This thing may be asked in the examination. The first problem is what? Scratches. The number of instance of the scratches was 110. And what is the percentage which it represent? It represent the 36.67%. So the bar in the purple color represent the number of instances given on y-axis, this side. Whereas on this side, the percentage of defects are given. The yellow bars or the columns represent the indivisible percentage of defect. Whereas this line or curve represent the cumulative defects. So scratches, number of incidents are 110. Although the percentage of defect is 36.67%. Second cause, in the order of significance we are moving. Okay. Rough edges. What are the number of instances? Was 70. The percentage of defect is how much? It was 23.33. I'm writing based upon the table we see in the last page. Okay. The non-uniform grinding of the edges, the number of cases was 60, whereas the percentage of the defect was 20%, and so on. We are writing for the others as well. Based upon this, we draw the cumulative defect line or curve here. You can see till the first 3 defects, the curve is dotted. Why? Because it reaches to the level of 80% here. Sorry, the line which I draw is not quite clear. You can say that straight. Okay, I'll erase the line and draw again for you. I'll use this now straight line. Okay. You can see here. I hope this line is visible to you. Up till this curve is a dotted, only 3 defects we considered: scratch, rough edges, and non-uniform grinding. But it amounts to 80% of the defect. Hence, these 3 are vital few, and the remaining 4 are trivial many. So, Pareto chart is a nothing but a graphical presentation of the Pareto analysis. Pareto chart used this curve to highlight up till where the defects are need to be focused by management, and what are the defects which can be ignored currently by the management. Okay, so till the stage where the defects are vital few, you need to draw the curve dotted. The moment you reach 80% of the cumulative defect, then thereafterward the defects are not significant enough. Then you will have to put a straight line. Agreed? I believe it is quite clear to everyone how we can draft the Pareto chart. The time is short with me. Otherwise, I'll surely open the Excel and let you understand how we need to draft the Pareto on the Excel. But if I save even the 5 minutes now, it is my promise to you that in the next lecture, at the end, I will open the Excel, even though we'll spend the 10-20 minutes more after the 9, and we'll learn that how the Pareto chart will be drawn. Okay, I'll show it to you. Friends, now let me move further. In the above Pareto chart, till the point where the line of the cumulative defect is dotted, the causes are vital, and then thereafterward, the causes are trivial many. So I believe the Pareto chart and the Pareto analysis is very much clear to all my friends. Now we are moving further. We are going to study the various use cases of the Pareto analysis. Friends, these use cases are given to you on the page number 4.32 of the study material and 4.33 of the study material. Okay, it's very, very, very important. It was tested as a direct question in the May 2019 exam for the 5 marks. So listen these very carefully, very carefully. I will explain it in the form of the story, so you'll not find any application of the mind. Just listen the story and the concept will be clear to you. First, what is the application of the Pareto? Pricing of the product. What it says, the 20% of your product will give you 80% of the revenue. Whereas the other 80% of your product will give you 20% revenue. So the 80% revenue, which is coming only from the 20% of the products. Obviously, these 20% product are important for me. Whereas the other 80% of the product which give me the 20% of the benefit or the sale is not very much significant for me. So what I can do? Firstly, I will focus on these 20% products. Number one. Number two, the pricing of these 20% will be critically decided by the top management. Whereas the pricing of these 80% can be left on the lower management, that they can do the pricing of these 80%. If the company is not producing many products, company is producing only 1 or 2 products, then the company can do the cost benefit analysis of all the product. Then this sort of situation will not arise. But where the company is dealing into the multiple product, like Parle is producing the Parle Fruity, Parle is also producing the biscuit, Parle is in the agro products as well. Similarly, take an example of the ITC. Is it possible for us to do the cost profit volume analysis of each product individually? No. So what we will do? We will make a product portfolio and we will identify the product. 20% product which will give us the 80% of the sale, and the 80% of the product which will give us the 20% of the sale. And what we'll do? The top management will focus only on the pricing of these 20%, and the remaining product, they will give it to the lower level management and say that, okay, manage as per your wisdom. Because the top management time is more critical. It must be spent upon those things which are strategic in the nature. So in this paragraph, this discussion is written. Moving to the next paragraph, the customer profitability. It is quite obvious that your 20% customer lead to 80% of the profit, whereas remaining 80% of the customer leads to only 20% of the profit. Okay. So now whether you will be focused on this 20% of the customer who will lead to 80% of the profit, or you will focus on these 80% of the customer, obviously you will treat them as a king. No doubt, customer is always a king, but you will treat it as a king of some junior dynasty, but you will treat them a king of some big dynasty. They are the real king of your business. They are the real you can say that the power hub who will help you to earn the 80% of the profit. So we need to identify which customer group is important for us. Yesterday, someone responded back. I forgot the name of lady or the girl candidate who said that it may possible that the color of the stick of the file folder is important feature. No doubt, it may be important feature for us or for our customer. We need to see for whom it is important feature. Are they fall in this 20% category or they fall in the 80% category? Okay, so we need to see this particular thing. We need to see that from where our major revenue comes. Further, inventory. Obviously, the 80% of the inventory will cost 20% of the value, whereas the 20% of inventory cost 80% of the value. Which inventory is critical for us, significant for us, which will value approx 80%. Hence, we need to apply all the possible inventory control technique related to this. All the inventory control technique related to this 20% of the inventory. Further, activity-based costing. Friends, you know, in the activity-based costing, you will apply the cost driver in order to allocate the cost pool to the individual cost objects or the cost sector. I incur the cost of the generator, which will give the electricity to entire factory when the power is off or power is not available. Hence, the generator cost need to be allocated to the different cost centers or the cost object or the cost units. Now, in order to allocate the cost, I use a cost driver, which is a horsepower. Which division use how much of the horsepower of the generator. Accordingly, I divide. So what this point says that your 20% of the cost driver are of this importance that they distribute 80% of the cost pool. Whereas 80% of the cost driver are such a nature that they only distribute or allocate 20% of the cost pool. So which of your cost driver are important? These 20% cost driver are important because based upon this, you are going to allocate your 80% of the cost. Hence, they are going to impact the cost of each of the cost object significantly. If in order to allocate the canteen expenditure, in order to allocate the lighting expenditure, I say, okay, allocate based on the number of employees. And there are very less cost which I need to allocate based upon the number of machine, number of product manufactured, number of floor area, you can say the value of machine. Obviously, then the number of worker will be considered as your vital few, whereas the other will be considered as trivial many. Now moving to the last use case, the quality control. Obviously, as the Joseph M. Juran indicated that the 80% of your problem arises by 20% of the causes or the reasons, whereas the 20% of your problems are caused by 80% of the reason. And which reason are critical for me in order to ensure the quality? Obviously, these 20%. So I need to focus on these 20% reason. I hope it is clear to everyone the use cases. If it is not clear to any student, please quickly respond back to me. I'll give you a minute. Respond back to me if it is not clear to you. Then we'll move forward. Okay. We need to write, friend, 3 notes here, which are very, very important, which surely be tested in the examination, or I believe that you must know those notes in order to improve the quality of your answer. Here we need to write 3 notes at this space. But firstly, prior to that, quickly answer. Is the use cases are clear to you? And also carry the pen and a pencil because you need to write it. Quickly carry some pen or a pencil because you need to write the 3 important notes along with me, which are purely practical note, which you, if write in the answer, it will improve the quality of your answer. Friends, quickly answer me. Can I dictate those notes to you? Quickly answer me, my dear friends. I'm waiting for you, because based upon your response, I'll start dictating or start writing here. Okay. So that you must note these three important points. These are quite important points. Okay. I'm allowed to move. Done. Good. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Friend, the first point which you need to consider is what? It is already seen in the question which we solve, and the further question which we solve. We will also notice this point, that the relation may not be exactly 80-20. Relation may be sometime different than this. It may possible that your 40% of the causes result in the 80% of the value. So this is not hard and fast rule that the ratio will be 80-20. Ratio may be something different to the 80-20. Okay. So first point which you need to write, 80-20 is not pure and always good principle. The ratio may differ. Agreed? I hope you all are noting along with me. Good. Second, if while writing down the defects, while writing down the reason 1, comma reason 2, comma reason 3, comma reason 4, which you are writing, likewise we solve the question in which we see the various reasons of defects. If you find there are some defects which are not of the significant value, and you made a head called others and miscellaneous, we'll solve a question and we'll see this thing, that there is a one head, other defects and the miscellaneous defects. If you see this thing, you need to ensure that the percentage of defects under this miscellaneous or other category shall not be more than 20 to 25%. If they are more than 20 to 25%, try to break it down. If you write the first defect is scratches, the second defect is non-grinding of the edges, the third defect is strains on the lenses, and the fourth, there are many, and you put it in the miscellaneous category, and the total number of defects are 100 and the miscellaneous represent 35. It will be very wrong practice. You need to break down the miscellaneous in order to have a good analysis. Okay. And the last point, which is very important, you all must notice this point very skeptically, that you need to perform the Pareto analysis on the repetitive basis and on the periodical interval. Why you need to perform it on the repetitive basis or on the periodical interval? Because it may possible that anything which is the trivial today may become vital tomorrow. Okay. So it may possible that anything which is not significant, any cause which is not significant today may become significant cause in the day to come. Hence, a regular review with the help of Pareto analysis is must for every company. Okay. There is one question from the Raviteja Sharma from Hyderabad. Can we add strategic control in the practical note for the Pareto analysis? The strategies like BPR, Six Sigma, etc. being more than 80% of the chances. Friend, Pareto analysis is one of the technique which can be clubbed with another technique. Pareto only help you to identify the area on which you need to focus. You can use the Pareto with any else thing. Any of the aspect you can relate with the Pareto, like statical process control, you need to apply in order to control the quality, in order to reduce the defect. You can use the Pareto. You can take a help of the Pareto. Okay, so Pareto can be applied in complementary, not in substitution to any other technique. Okay. So with this, we cover these three notes. These are quite important and the major one. Okay. It may be asked like company is following the Pareto, advise the company what else it can do. You can write company must do the Pareto on the regular basis. It is not an exercise which you perform on occasional basis and say it okay. Because the market is dynamic. The business environment is dynamic. Anything which is a trivial today may become a major headache for you in a day to come. No one thinks that Jio will impact the Vodafone business or the Airtel business in such a manner. Who thinks that entrant of a new telecommunication player is a major risk in the telecom sector? No one thinks prior to the Jio launches. So market is highly dynamic. Who thinks that for a pharmaceutical company who engaged in the manufacturing of sanitizing product and also producing the sanitizer, for Lifebuoy itself, for Lifebuoy company prior to this COVID, sanitizer was a trivial product because it was not a major component of their sales. But obviously, after this COVID, it became a vital. And company can analyze this whether the product is a vital or trivial, whether the customer is a vital or trivial, only if it apply the Pareto analysis on the continuous basis. So you must apply it on the periodical basis. Okay. Friend, just allow me to do another question, then I will give you the break. Okay. Let us quickly solve another question. We'll solve this question and then we'll take a break. Okay. Else what we can do, I can give you this question as a homework. We can solve this particular question. Quickly suggest me what you wish to do. We can solve this examination question. This May 2019 question. दोनों करना है. Solve the both. Okay. Okay, no issue. We'll see this question first. Okay. Quickly read the question along with me. Then afterward, we'll go for break. After this particular question, we'll surely go for the break. The Generation 2050 Technologies Limited developed the cutting edge innovation that are powering the next revolution in the mobility and has a 9 tablet smartphone models currently in the market. So there is some company. Although Kunal is saying, sir, exam question is okay. Don't worry, Kunal, we are solving both the question. It will took us only 10 minutes to solve this question, 10 or 15 minutes. Then we'll move to the exam question. Okay. Don't worry. We'll extend the class for a 10 minutes or a 15 minute beyond the 9 so that we can cover some portion of the EMA as well. So that in the next lecture, there will be no hard burden on us. We need not to run that much fast, but we'll solve these both questions. Okay. Generation 2050 Technologies Limited developed the cutting edge innovation that are powering the next revolution in the mobility, and it has a 9 smart tablet phone model currently in the market. So there is some company which is manufacturing the tablet like this sort of the tablet, okay, and it is having some 9 tablet which are prevailing or available in the market. The tablet A001, B002. In order to ease, we'll say A1, B2, C3, D4, and E5, F6, and G7, and 88, and I9, so on. Okay. You are required to carry the Pareto analysis of the sale as well as of the contribution. Apart from that, you also need to discuss your finding with the appropriate recommendation. Okay. Friends, if you see the sales, it is already given to you in the order of significance. It is already given to you. A1 has the largest sale, followed by the B2, then C3, then at the last, it is I9. But the profit volume ratio is also known as contribution ratio. But the contribution is not given to you, and instead of the contribution, the PV ratio is given to you, and it is not in the order of significance. So firstly, what we'll do, we are going to calculate the contribution. Okay. Now be active again. Quickly carry your calculator and or a gizmo device whatsoever you are using, and tell me what is the contribution for the product A1. It will be 3.53% of 5100. Mind it, figure are in 1000. We'll keep all our calculation in the 1000. Okay, we keep all our calculation in the 1000. We even though computing the contribution also in the 1000 term. So multiply these two and tell me the contribution. What will be the contribution? Quickly, my dear friends, what will be the contribution of A1? 5100 into 3.53. I need your participation as well. Quickly tell me, what is the contribution? Yes, correct. 180. Good. You can round off. Yes. Okay. What will be the contribution of B2? 3000 into 23. Good. Good. Keep on continuing. Yes. 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 It will be 23% of 3000. 690. Good. All students who are online, please solve this question quickly. For C3, it will be 300. Good. For D4, it is 255. For E5, it is 435. For F6, 195. For G7, 120. And for H8, 50. And for I9, it is 45. Good. Good, Chavi. Yes, you are calculating fine. Okay, good. Tell me the order of significance for the contribution. 690 is the highest figure, so it will become 1. Then 435 is the second highest. Then C3 is the third highest. D4 is the fourth highest. Then F6 is the fifth highest. A1 is the sixth highest. Then G7 is the seventh highest. I9 is the eighth highest. And 8H is the ninth highest. Yes, very good. Deepa from Mumbai. Deepa, I think that you joined today's session late because you are a regular student and you always join on a time. But this is the first response by you. Good to see you that you are present in today's class as well. Good. Okay, absolutely fine. Yes. So we developed the order of the significance. Now, likewise, we solve in the previous question. This time also we develop a table where we will write the causes or write the product in the order of the significance. Okay. In the case of the sale, the product is already mentioned in the order of the significance. Which one helped me to earn the highest sale? And followed by that, the lowest sale, and the least sale at the end. But in the case of the contribution on this side, there are basically two tables, the first table and the second table. Okay. So in the case of the contribution, we develop the order of the significance and write the accordingly. Like we write the B2 first, then followed by the E5, then followed by the C3. And you know that after writing the items in the order of the significance, what you need to do? You need to calculate the percentage of individual item as of the total frequency. What is the total frequency? The total sale is 14,550. And you need to evaluate what is the weight of the A1. The weight of A1 or the percentage of A1 is 5100 divided by 14,550 into 100. Friend, it will be 35.05%. Similar way, 20.62%. Similar way, the 14.43%. And last but not the least, in the case of I09, it is 75 divided by 14,550 into 100. It will become how much? 0.52. So this is nothing but only the calculation. Yes. Fine. Absolutely fine. Chavi is computing good. Raviteja is also calculating the things very fast. Good. Kunal is also responding good. Fine. Friend, so here we can say that if we consider the sale, what are the 4 products which help us to earn around 80% or more than 80% of our revenue? These are the 4 products. Agreed? Because what is a Pareto? Pareto ultimately help us to identify the vital few. And these 4 products cumulatively help us to earn the revenue of 82%. Whereas the remaining 5 products help us to earn only 17.53%. So these 4 are vital few based upon the sales, whereas these 5 are trivial many based upon the sales. But there is not only one basis based upon which we need to perform the Pareto. We also need to perform the Pareto based upon the contribution. We computed the contribution and then assign them the order of significance in which we write the item. Accordingly, we compute the total frequency. What is the total frequency? 2235. Then we need to compute the percentage of individual frequency, like 690 divided by 2235 into 100. This will give me the weight of B2. B2 contributing 30% of the total contribution. E5 contributes the 19.47 of the total contribution. Can anyone tell me where we reach to the mark of the 80? Here we reach to the mark of the 80. So these 5 products. So these 5 products, B2, E5, C3, D4 and F6. These help me to earn around 83.90% of the profit. Hence, based upon the contribution, these are the vital few and these 4 are the trivial many. Agreed? Now there is a clash or a conflict. If we consider the same, A1 is a vital few, but if we consider the contribution, A1 is not a vital few. So while you need to suggest your recommendation, because you are not only need to perform this Pareto analysis, you also need to discuss your finding. What you will do? You will see the product or the model which is covered both the places. B2 is here, B2 is also here in the vital few. C3 is here, C3 is also here in the vital few. D4 is here and D4 is also here in the vital few. So friends, B2, C3 and D4, these are considered as vital few after considering both the factors. Agreed? This thing you mentioned in the discussion, that if we consider both the feature, sale as well as contribution, The B2, C3 and D4 are the vital few. Friend, one more thing you need to write. One more thing you need to write. What? A1 contributing 35% of the sale. Whereas if we see the contribution, it is at number 6. Why it is at number 6? Because the PV ratio of the A1 is only 3.53%. If you see the table above now, this table, it is mentioned that the CV ratio, the profit volume ratio in the case of A1 is only 3.53%. Hence, what we need to do in case of A1, we need to focus on the pricing. There is something wrong in the pricing. We must increase the sale price because our product currently only able to cover the variable cost. This is only the reason now our contribution is only 3.53%. We need to enhance this contribution. Hence, we need to relook at pricing. Agreed? Now moving further. Here you see E05 is second highest in the contribution. Why it is second highest in the contribution? Because on the E05, the contribution ratio is 41.43%. If you refer this table again, the table based upon which we are preparing this entire analysis. But we are not able to make much sale of the E2. If we advertise, rather I use the word E2, E5. If we advertise the E5 in the market, if we keep on advertising E5, obviously we can sell more number of the E5 unit. E5 currently we are selling how much? Only 7.22. Although E5 help us to earn 41, अगर E5 का रेट 100 रुपए हो तो 41 रुपए का कंट्रीब्यूशन है. It means we need to focus on the sale of E5. But we are not able to sell E5. E5 is only 7.22% of our entire sale. Hence, we need to do advertisement in the case of E5 and we need to look at the pricing decision in the case of E1. Apart from that, we must mention that B2, C3, D4, they are the vital few. There is no confusion regarding this, no dispute regarding this. But these two can also be focused. This is a price focus, this is an advertisement focus in order to improve the performance of the company. Okay, so I believe that this question is quite clear to you. Now we will take a break of the 5 minutes. The moment we will come back on a break, come back from the break, we will solve the next examination question. If you wish to click, you can click the screenshot. Otherwise, the answer is available with you because this question is from the study material itself. It is given on the page number 4.50 of your study material. The next question which we are going to solve after the break, that is from the May 2019 examination. Okay. Now we are taking the 5-minute break. We are at 2016. We are at 2016. So we will be in a break up till only 2021. Okay. So you can say that be sharp to the time. Please come back at 2021. Okay. We are going on a break. Hello, friends. Welcome back. I believe you all are back from the break now. Friends, I believe you all are back from the break now. Okay. So let's start. Prior to read this question, which was asked for the 10 marks in the May 2019 exam, friend, let's quickly read the requirement number 3. What the requirement number 3 says? State the business situation in which you recommend to apply the Pareto analysis. Friend, in the note number 4 of our study notes, we already covered the various use cases of the Pareto. So this point we already covered, hence we need not to again discuss this. But we are supposed to discuss this particular question. Let's quickly read the question along with me. And this was asked in the, you can say that choice. Either you can analyze your finding based upon the first two steps, or you can state these uses. Okay. So we'll read the question. Please read the question along with me and try to solve along with me. The information given below pertains to ABC Enterprises, a specialized car garage door installation company. So this is a particular garage whose specialization in installing the door to the cars. The ABC Enterprise used to get multiple service calls from the customer with the variety of the requirement. So some customer call them and ask them, okay, we need to install the new door. Some ask to replace the older door. Some ask to adjust in door is not working properly. Some just ask to lubricate the door. So they may have to install, replace, adjust, or lubricate some of the part or the other in order to make the door functional. They work with the 5 major parts as given in the table, namely the door, motor, track, trimble, and the T-lock. So these are the 5 major parts which they are dealing with in order to make the door functional. कि door काम करना शुरू कर दे. But apart from that, there is another item which is miscellaneous. Friend, you might remember just before to going on a break, we discussed the 3 practical points. And what we said, that miscellaneous head should not amounts to 20% or 25% or more than that. Here you can see the miscellaneous are only 4 out of the total 85. It means it represents less than even though 5%. This is acceptable. But if your miscellaneous heading also represent the 20%, then that is not you can say that acceptable. That is need to be further breakdown. Now read the first requirement along with me. Using the above data, carry out the Pareto analysis of the total parts. These are the total part. He asked you to do the Pareto for the parts. These are the name of the part and these are their number. Here we need to consider the part and the number. We need not to consider the services. Services he asked in the second part. In the first part, he asked us to consider what? The number of the part as the percentage of the total calls received by ABC Enterprises. Okay. Tell me in the order of significance, which part is more significant? Which part is more significant? Motor? Okay, Simi, what I do, I hope everyone read this question along with me, the requirement one. We'll quickly take you on a whiteboard in order to solve this particular question. I believe that question is clear to everyone. The question number, question of this May 2019. The part one, what the part one asks us, that from the above data, we need to carry out the Pareto analysis. Okay. So this data is given to me. The number of cases where I need to work on the motor, there are 30 instances. The number of cases where I need to work on the trimmer, there are the 20 instances. The number of cases where we need to work on the track, there are 17 instances. Agreed? Hence, what we need to do, friends, we need to put it in the order of significance. Okay, I'll take you on a whiteboard in order to solve this question along with me. I hope the board is visible to everyone. Let's move on, friend, so that we can solve. Yes, Chavi's answer is correct. Ravite's answer is also correct. The motor. Let's quickly draw the table. Part one we are solving. The table to show the Pareto effect. Okay, the table to show the Pareto effect of parts. What are the various parts, friends? The first part is motor. Please mind it. We will not write in the order it is given in the question. In the question, it is given to us. Likewise, door is given at the number one, then it is given the motor, then it is given the track, then the trimmer, then the T-lock, then the miscellaneous one. What are their frequency? The motor's frequency is the 30, the track frequency is the 70, then the trimmer frequency is the 20, then the T-lock frequency is the 6, the miscellaneous frequency is the 4, whereas the frequency of the door is 8. Friends, in the order of the significance, which one is the highest? Which one is the most important for us? Motor. If our worker are fitting the motor correct, obviously door will work fine. If the number of calls which we are receiving in which we need to work on a door, the 30 calls related to the motor, hence we must be expert of putting the motor correct. We must be having the expertise in installing the correct motor or installing it in a correct way. So we are writing the motor at the number 1, followed by this trimmer, then followed by the track, followed by the door, and then followed by the T-lock, and last but not the least, followed by the miscellaneous. Here you can see it will be the highest number, then followed by the smallest number. 30, then the 20, then the 17, then the 8, then the 6, then the 4. What is the total frequency, friends? Total frequency is 85, the number of items. Who will tell me the percentage? Percentage of the total item. Motor represent 30 cases out of 85. 30 out of 85 into 100. This will be 35.29. Then 23.53. Similar way, 17 by 85, it represents 20%. 8 by 85, it represents 9.41%. Then 6 represented by 85, it will be 7.06%. Then 4.71%. Chavi, so instead of 17, 20 should be taken. Okay. Now moving further, what we need to do, we need to compute here cumulative total. Please compute the cumulative total here. 35.29, then 58.82, then 78.82, 88.23, then 95.29, and the 100%. Friends, you can see around 80% we achieved here. It means out of these 6 parts, the motor, timber, and the track, these are the vital few. Whereas the door, then T-lock, and the miscellaneous are the trivial many. Okay, I hope the question is quite clear to you. Good. Good. Shavi is answering good. Fine. Fine. Okay. Now read the part number 2 of the question. I believe that you remember the question. Otherwise, I'll show you the question once, and then we'll solve the question. Okay. Read the requirement of requirement 2 of the question along with me. What did it say? Using the same data, carry out the second level Pareto analysis. Okay. On the type of the services with respect to motor only. Please mind it. Very critical information. It means this time we just need to consider this line. He asked us to consider only the motor, because while we perform the Pareto analysis in the first part, here, what instrument we find the significant? If you see the question which we solved on the board, we find that the motor represent 35.29% of the total importance. Hence, they ask us to apply the Pareto second time on the motor itself. And what they say, use the same data to carry out the second level Pareto analysis on the type of the services. This time we consider that which service is significant for us. Whensoever we get any kind of an issue regarding the motor, the 16 number of the cases out of the 30 are those where we need to adjust the motor. So its importance or the significance is number 1. The 9 are the cases when we need to lubricate only. Its importance or rank is number 2. Then the 3 are the cases where we need to install the motor. Its importance is number 3. And there are only 2 cases where we need to do what? We need to replace. So its importance it at number 4. So now if we need to solve this particular you can say that issue with the help of the Pareto, how we will do? I'm going to write it down here on the screen itself for you. Adjust 16 cases. Then thereafterward, lubricate. How many number of cases? 9. Then thereafterward, install. Number of the cases are 3. Then there is replace. Number of the cases are 2. Agreed? Can anyone tell me the total frequency? What is the total frequency, friends? The total frequency is 30. Now, if we consider the percentage, 16 out of 30 represent 53.33%. 9 out of 30 represent 30%. Then 3 out of 30 represent 10%. 2 out of 30 represent 6.67%. If you ask me to write cumulative percentage, how much it will be? 53.33, then 83.33, then 93.33, and last but not the least, 100. Friend, it means around 83.33% of the issues or the complaint which are regarding the motor, which I need to correct, are due to or of a nature where I need to adjust the motor or need to lubricate the motor. Hence, which are the vital for me? Adjust and the lubricate is a vital for me, whereas the install and the replace are the trivial or not important for me. Agreed? So this is you need to identify in a part 1 and a part 2. Now the part 3, the last one. Give your recommendation on the basis of your calculation in the part 1 and a part 2. What will be your recommendation? Your recommendation is that the part wise, if we do the analysis, the motor is important. Apart from motor, the trimmer is important and the track is important, because these three together constitute 78.82% of the significance. Whereas if you ask only motor, in the motor, the adjustment and the lubrication is the important services at which the ABC company need to focus. तो अगर ABC कंपनी को फोकस करना है on the part, what are the three parts they need to focus? Motor, track and trimmer. If they need to focus on the services, although we don't perform Pareto analysis of the services for all the part, we only perform it for the motor. In the motor, they need to focus on the adjust and the lubricating services. Okay, friend, with this, we wind up the Pareto. We are now moving to the EMA. We will discuss the few concepts of the EMA for the next half an hour, so that when we come in the next lecture, we must be in a position that we must able to solve the practical question. Yes. Hima is responding 30. Fine. 30 is the frequency. Ravi Teja is also responding. Fine. Good, friends. You are solving at the right pace. Good. Deepa is also responding. Yes, good. Now the EMA. Friends, let me tell you a small story about the EMA so that you can build your base, because this topic is a kind of a new topic for you. Despite might be reading your study material, you are not able to get anything which you can recapitulate and which you can refurnish again in the, you can say that examination. So what I did in the notes, I tried to write down the concept in such a manner that it will become easy task for you to gain the confidence regarding the EMA, that you know the concept. And also there are only one category of the concept regarding which the question can be asked, and that is the ABC, the allocation of the environment driven cost. So we will solve the question on that. There are two questions on the allocation of the environment related driven cost. We'll solve both the question in the class. Although we'll be able to solve both the question in the next class, but the concept which we are going to discuss today is very much important. What I did, whenever I discuss any concept, I write the page number of the study material in the bracket so that you can correlate that from where this concept being taken. And apart from that, some concepts are the new concept, like nowhere up till now the definition of environment cost is given. Nowhere up till now the explanation to the environment data is given. We must know those concepts in order to solve the question in the examination. So listen the entire discussion very carefully. I'm starting telling a small story about the EMA. Friends, in the case of India, you might be aware about the Bhopal gas tragedy, what happened in the 1984, and how the life of the people was threatened and actually damaged by the gas tragedy. Friends, this was the case afterward which the business liability was changed from contingent to the vicarious. You may not be able to understand these two words. Earlier, what was said, that if the company take a reasonable precaution against any possible damage, it is okay. But after this gas tragedy, what was the law? That company is responsible in the absolute manner if any loss to the people happen due to the any mistake of the company regarding to the environment ignorance or any other fact. It means law becomes stricter regarding the environment in the India. There is another incident the Exxon Valdez oil spill. You are aware about the Bhopal gas tragedy. Might be you are not born then. You may be listening to stories from your father or the parents regarding this, but you may not be aware about the Exxon. So I must tell you something about this. What happened on the 24th of the March 1989, a ship or the oil container named Exxon Valdez, which is owned by the Exxon Shipping Corporation, near the this Atlanta, you can say, it sunk and it resulted into the spilling of the oil. How much oil spilled? Around 10.8 million gallon oil spilled. If I turn it into the tons, around 30,000 ton of the oil spilled in the sea, and which result in the effect of the 1300 miles of the coastline. Oil पानी में बह गया और वो oil coast line तक पहुंचा या उसने pollution create करा. So these are the two incidences, one in the India and other one near to the, you can say that this European and American Sea. So it put a impact on the business and bring some sort of the environment consciousness in the nation that they need to work on the ecology as well. The business must be forced to be responsible for their actions. The ecological pressure must be put on the businesses. So what happened? I'm going to tell you the note number one in the form of story. So what happened earlier? Whenever company file their annual report, they going to start explain their environment footprint. Environment footprint is a nothing, but company just tell that how much of the carbon they are producing in individual year, how much of the waste they generate in individual year. But they are just going to tell, okay, this much of the carbon they are creating, this much of the waste they are creating. They are not doing anything regarding that. So obviously, it is not important that you tell in your annual report, okay, we create this much of the carbon, we create this much or generate this much of the waste. What is important? While taking the decision due to which this carbon is generated or due to which this waste is generated, you must take the ecology into the consideration when you are taking the decision. Hence, the management is bound to consider the ecology when they are taking the decision. Hence, the environment need to be part of the management accounting system. And slowly, another form of the management accounting emerged with the name EMA. This entire story, which I just narrated to you, is written in the note number one. You can read along with me. Initially, the need of mere external environment reporting was felt. Hence, the environment disclosure became the part of the financial report. But the sustainability need to address the environment issue at the time of making decision rather than when they are reported. Hence, obviously, this required the change in the management accounting system. Hence, resultantly, the EMA emerged. Now, the question arises, what is the EMA? I ease up the definition which is given in the study material so that you can understand it as well as you can remember it. Okay. So read it very, very carefully. EMA is the tool that assists the business manager to manage the environmental impact of their decision as well as controlling the environmental cost using the information pertaining to the environment. So there are three elements involved in the EMA. Number one, we wish to control the environment impact of our decisions so that we can control the environment related cost. We try to apply such a kind of the processes so that the least low or the lowest waste generated. But obviously, to take such a decision with help of which our impact should be lowest and the cost should be lowest, we must rely upon the information. Hence, friends, revise along with me. EMA is use of environment information based upon which the manager take a decision which has a less impact upon the environment and resulting less environment cost. So there are three things. What are three things? I'm going to write it for you. We are going to use environment information. so that we take the decision which has least impact upon the environment, as well as apart from having the least impact, the environment cost must also be less. Agreed? So these three are the important feature of EMA. Using information related to environment in order to reduce the impact, so that the cost must also be reduced, which we are incurring on the environment. What sort of the cost we are incurring on the environment? The correction and the prevention cost. Correction costs are those which incurred so that pollution should not occur. As well as we try to ensure that if the pollution occur, it must be controlled. Agreed? So there are two sort of the cost, the correction cost and the prevention cost. We'll see it further when the related note comes. Further, the note number 3, why the EMA is getting the importance. This concept was discussed or is discussed at the page number 4.42 and the 4.3 of your study material. A directly 3 marks question was asked in the May 2019 exam. So read these 3 points very carefully. The first reason due to which we are considering the EMA is this, that environment cost represent significant portion of your operating cost. Your study material mentioned in some company cases, the environment cost is near to the 20% of the operating cost. Although they didn't mention the name of the company name is Ameco. There are two gentlemen, although this is not going to, you can say that very much relevant for you in order to write in the examination, but just listen it in order to gain the confidence. There are two gentlemen, Ranganathan and the Gits. In the year 1996, they wrote an research paper in which they mentioned that company Ameco are expected to incur 3%. It is a famous company, US based. Only 3% on the environment. But in actual, they spent 22% of the operating expenditure on the environment. Hence, the environment cost is a major component of the operating cost. This is the first reason due to which we need to consider the EMA. The second reason, the regulatory requirement. Obviously, there are regulatory requirements in India for every company to put the environment related data outside the factory gate. If any of a company fails to do so, obviously there is a penalty on the company. Agreed? Hence, if any of a company still don't obey the guidance, the minimum precaution which it need to take regarding the environment, the penalty may be charged on the company. One example is taken in the study material, and the company which study material took as example is of the John Craxford. The European Union applied the penalty on this company, and the amount of the penalty was £85,000. Not only the penalty was imposed, the directors was imprisoned. Apart from that, the 1.2 million pound of the asset was seized by the regulators. So there may be harsh consequences on you if you are not following the EMA in a very sensible manner. The third reason, people love to buy the goods from those companies which are socially and environmentally responsible. So the company which is having the positive carbon footprint, which is having the positive ecological aspects, people love to buy their product who are doing the production organically. So this is also one of the factors. So what are the three factors due to which EMA is getting the importance? The first factor is this: the EMA consider the environment cost, and the environment cost is the major component of your operating cost. Number one. Number two, the environment cost may be lead to the extreme level, or not considering the environment may lead you the harsh consequences due to the regulatory requirement or the legal requirement. And the number three is what? That people love to buy the product from those companies which are socially or environmentally responsible. Agreed? Now moving further. We consider the note number 4, 5, and 6, and then thereafterward we wind up the today's class. Okay. The note number 4, which is a new concept. What are the 3 requirements of the EMA? EMA is all about considering the environmental information in order to control the environment impact of the action or decision taken by the management of the company, and in order to control the environment cost. So we must know what is the environment information, and we must also know what is the environment cost. So the note number 4 and 5 is answer to this. The environment information can be classified into the 2 categories. The first category is a physical information and the second category is a monetary information. Now quickly understand, what is the physical information? How much number of unit of electricity you consume during a particular year. This is physical information. How much kilogram of the waste you produce. This is the physical information. How much number of the chlorofluorocarbon you emitted in a particular year. This is a physical information. But how much of the cost you incur on the water treatment plant inside your factory. This is the monetary information. So any information of the qualitative and quantitative nature, which cannot be measured in the money term, which will be expressed in the quantity term or the quality term, that will be considered as the physical information pertaining to the environment. Whereas the anything where the cost is involved, that will be considered as the monetary information. My dear friend, I'm going to explain it again for you. Yes, Ravi, we can take this conclusion that EMA is taking us towards the combined information system, or the larger information system, or the full information system, or the integrated information system. Now moving back to this particular thing. The EMA information is of the 2 nature. The first one is a physical one. Physical one means how much material we use, how much waste we generate, how much carbon we created, what is our impact on the air quality. These are the physical information. Whereas the monetary information is what? How much cost we incur to prevent the pollution, how much cost we incur to correct the pollution if caused by us. Obviously, if the shipping corporation failed to sail the ship to the bank or to the port, which result into the damage of the ship, or the ship sinks, which result into the spill of the oil, who is bound to clean the sea? Who is bound to, you can say that, remove all the oil from the marine? It is the responsibility of that shipping company. So shipping company may be asked by the regulator that you are supposed to clean the sea, and that cost is also need to be considered. Then that information will be what kind of information? Monetary information. So EMA consider the environment information, which can be classified into the 2 categories, the physical information and the monetary information. Moving further, environmental cost. Environmental costs are the costs connected with the actual or the potential deterioration of the natural resources due to the economic activity by the organization. Please understand this thing. I'll take a minute on this. This is very important. You must understand this. Friend, a company install the chimney, or company install a treatment plant prior to release the waste out of the factory premises. Up till now, no pollution take place, but still company is incurring the cost. It means the cost incurred by the company is within the boundary of the business, number 1. Number 2, the cost incurred by the company are the preventive in the nature. They want to prevent the pollution from happening. But still it may possible sometime treatment plant don't work properly, and some of the pollutant element move out of the factory, and then the regulator asks the company to remove or reposition those area where the pollutant effect or the effect which caused the pollution reaches. So in that case, company again incur the cost, and that cost is known as corrective environment cost. But it may also possible that despite company install the chimney, or despite company install the treatment plant, still some of the water with the pollution content move out of the factory and merged into some kind of a drain or a river or some other water network which is used by the people, and the people who using that, their health deteriorated. And who is responsible for the public health? It is the government. It means the decision which are taken by the business, they result in the environment effects. There is an environment impact of each decision taken by the business. And this environment impact may be inside the company and maybe outside the company. Even though the company is using the chimney to effluent the gases, or to, you can say that, release the ashes, but still some of the ash come out of that chimney and it may harm the environment nearby. So who bear the cost? The health cost bear by the people themselves. The low air quality harm the environment, harm the society at large. It means entire environment cost is not borne by the company. Some of the environment cost borne by the company, which are largely preventive in the nature or sometimes corrective in the nature. Apart from that, some of the environment costs are occurred outside the premises of the company, and that is being beared by whom? That is being beared by the society. Don't worry, we will read this point again in the note number 6. That environment cost can be classified into the two categories: the internal environment cost and external environment cost. The cost incurred inside the premises of the business or even outside the premises of the business by the business entity. And here are the costs which is incurred or borne by the society. Although action is performed by the company, the cost should also be borne by the company. But company not borne this cost because they are not legally bound to do so. In the industrial policy, it is mentioned that the height of the chimney must be 35 feet. But despite having the height of the chimney 35 feet, still the chimney emanate or emission some of the carbon, some of the ashes, which you can say that enter into the environment and pollute the environment. And then the cost is borne by whom? Who is supposed to clean the Gange? Who is supposed to run the Namami Gange? It's a government. It means the cost is borne by the society some of the time, which is caused by the action of the company. Hence, the cost which is incurred in relation to the environment can be categorized into the two categories, the internal and the external. The EMA is largely concerned or focused on the cost incurred and borne by the company. It is not concerned with the cost which is borne by the society. No doubt we try to reduce our impact upon the society. Okay. Now let us recapitulate what we discussed, because it might become bit heavy for you. Thoda sa wo ikatha ho gaya. Now what we will do, we will try to ease up. We will try to break it into the part. The first thing we learn, that company need to be ecological responsible. Second point, then we learn that rather just reporting on the environment issue, company must consider the environment issue while taking the decision. Hence, environment consideration must be part of the management accounting system. EMA is required. Afterward that, we read the three reasons why we need to consider the EMA. The first reason, that EMA is a major part of the operating cost. Then the second reason which we learn, that EMA consider the regulatory aspect. Then the third part we consider that company, if corporate citizen, then the people will love to buy the product from me. Then the fourth concept, what is the meaning of the environment cost? Environment cost is the cost either incurred by company or borne by society out of the action done by the company, which may result in actual or potential deterioration of the natural resources. Then the fifth point, environment information can be classified into the two parts. The first category will be termed as physical information, and the second category will be termed as monetary information. So these are the 5 points we discussed up till now. Now, when a company apply the EMA, what it need to do? It need to do the four things. Number one, firstly, identify the environment related cost. Then classify the environment related cost. Apart from the classification, you must allocate those costs to the product due to which that cost is incurred. Obviously, we are producing some product or rendering some services which result into the environment threat, and we are incurring the cost to cover that threat. Hence, we must allocate the environment cost to that product due to which we are incurring that in order to reach to the correct costing of the product. Agreed? Hence, allocation is very important. And last but not least, the controlling of the environment cost is important. So we need to read EMA in the four contexts: identification of environment cost, classification of environment cost, allotment of the environment cost or allocation of environment cost, and then the control of the environment cost. In the next 7 or 10 minutes, we are going to discuss the classification of the environment cost. The remaining 3 we'll do in the next lecture, as well as we'll solve 2 questions. Apart from that, we'll discuss the chapter number 5 as well. Okay. There are 4 ways, friends, with the help of which or through which we can classify the environment cost. The first classification is the generic classification. The generic classification says classify the environment cost as internal or external. Although both the environment costs are incurred by whom? By the organization, by the action of organization. But internal costs are borne by the company, whereas external cost is borne by the society. What include the internal environment cost? The waste disposal cost, the cost incurred to improve the system, the cost incurred in form of the duty or the taxes we pay, like the clean energy cess, the cost which we incurred in order to discommission the project if we install, which is having the environment detrimental effect. Whereas external environment cost include what? We are using the water and energy. Energy may be generated from the renewable sources, may be generated from the non-renewable sources. If we are consuming the energy which is generated from the non-renewable resources like the carbon, etc., it means we are consuming that resource which is limitedly available. We are harming the ecology. Further, emission of the carbon, who bear the threat? Who is, you can say that, affected by the ultraviolet rays? Obviously, the society at large, the change in the climate, the health cost which is borne by the people. So these are considered as the external environment cost. So when we are performing, when we are implementing the EMA inside the organization, we are largely concerned with the internal cost. We are not concerned with the external cost, because while taking decision, we can no doubt impact how much of the pollution we are going to generate, how much will be the external environment cost. But we are not bound to incur the external environment cost. There is no law which says that the soil erosion or the forest degradation is the responsibility of any business. No doubt it is caused by the business activity, but there is no direct link is available. Okay. Now moving further, let me clean the board and move further. There is a space for the notes. And what is the important finding here? There is an inverse relation between internal and external environment cost. If the organization try to prevent the pollution, obviously less pollution will happen, the external cost will be less. So there is an inverse relation. Who bears the internal cost? It is borne by the company. But who bears the external cost? It is borne by the society, and in the society largely by the government. Because if the company keep on putting the pollution or the waste, which are the pollutant waste, into the rivers, it result in the, you can say that Ganga is not clean now, the Yamuna is not clean now. Obviously, who is responsible to clean the rivers then? It will be the government responsibility. So government understands this thing. Now the government is doing what? They charge the taxes and the cesses, like the clean energy cess and the other cesses, in order to recover the external cost from the companies itself. Agreed? The water treatment cost, if company don't incur and thinks it will leave the water into some river and no one is there to see, government will see how they will need to meet with the pollution. What the government will do? They will incur the cost of cleaning the river and later on charge that cost in the form of tax back to the company. Hence, government is now very clever or very intelligent. They say, okay, don't incur the internal environment cost. Let us bear the external cost. We will recover the external cost back to you in the form of taxes. Then it will again become the internal cost to you. Now the company having the two choices, either to install the treatment plant and don't pollute the environment, so that government need not to clean the environment and need not to charge back the taxes to the company. So this is the best way to do. Or else what company can do? Company can keep on creating the pollution. The government will keep on cleaning the pollution, and remaining in return, what the government will do? They will keep charging the taxes or cesses on the company. So this thing may be quite possible. Okay. So the environment cost can be charged into the two form, internal and external, can be classified into the two form rather than being charged internal and external. Okay. Now moving to the next classification. The next classification is based upon the body of United States called Environment Protection Agency, USEPA. This classification is given on the page number 4.36 of your study material. The US EPA classify the environment cost into the four categories. What are those categories? The first category is the conventional cost. What it say? If any company is using the coal to produce the energy, obviously using the coal lead to harm. The one, it will generate the pollution. Secondly, it is a limited available in the ecology. Hence, we are you can say that using some part of the ecology, which we should not. We should preserve our non-renewable resources. Hence, it will be considered as conventional cost. So any form of the raw material or the utility which is having the environment relevance, which we use in our factory or in the production of the material which we are producing, in the production of the goods which we are producing, then it will be considered as the conventional cost. Okay. Now, the next category of the cost in which the cost can be classified is the potentially hidden cost. For example, if some company need to, you can say that have the treatment plant which is treating the water from okay, some of the student is willing that we must close down the session. Okay, just let me complete this thing, this classification. Afterward, this will close. Okay, don't worry. So, potential hidden cost is a cost which is basically, you can say that some company is having some treatment plant, and the treatment plant is used to treat the water which is generated as a waste from the various product which company is manufacturing. So company is manufacturing product 1, product 2, product 3, and the water which came out of the processing of these 3 products, or the waste which came out of processing of these 3 products, they were treated in some treatment plant. Now the cost of this treatment plant need to be allocated. But it may possible if we see the cost of this treatment plant against the operating cost, total operating cost, this is very much minor. Instead of making a separate head, we put it into the category of general expenditure or general overhead. So this sort of cost may be hidden under the general overhead. What we need to do, we will have to break down the general overhead identify the cost of the water treatment plant or the waste treatment plant and need to allocate it to the P1, P2 and P3. Further, the contingent cost. These are the costs which may be incurred or may not be incurred. Like the penalty may be imposed if we are not fulfilling the requirement, but the probability of charging the penalty depends upon whether the inspection take place or not, whether we can justify that we are meeting the minimum legal requirement or not. So these may be there. Apart from the relation and the corporate image cost, these are the costs which the company need to bear in order to maintain their reputation. Take an example of the ITC. ITC is manufacturing the stationery, largely the copies. Obviously, when they produce the paper, they are not producing the all bagasse paper. What is the bagasse? The waste of the sugar cane. Paper can be manufactured from the bagasse and the paper can be made from the pulp, the tree pulp. They are producing the half from the bagasse and a half from the tea pulp. Obviously, they are causing some sort of a harm to the ecology. So that's why they need to, you can say, do the damage control by saying that whenever we buy their product, 1 rupee they give to the education of some economic weaker section student. Similar way, if some company come up with the sustainability report each year to tell that how environmentally responsible they are, the cost of printing that environment report will be considered here because they are going to improve their image. So friend, what we see in the EMA up till now, that why it is important to consider the EMA. What do you mean by the environment cost? How we can classify the environment information and how we can classify the environment cost. We'll leave. Okay, Hema is also saying, sir, aaj ke liye itna. Okay, done, no issue. So we'll leave the discussion here. In the next class, we again start from the classification itself. We will spend 1 hour or 1.5 hours on the EMA, and then we'll spend the 1.5 hours on the specific sector, half an hour for each of the session. There are many new things which I need to tell you on the specific sector, agriculture sector and the power sector, the various cost practices. Okay, so we'll wait for a minute or two. If there are any query, please quickly send it to me. Okay, as we are going to log out for the day. Okay, I'll give you a minute or two. It's at 9:14. If you have a query, please ask it up till the 9:16 or 9:17. Then we'll wind up the session. Thank you all my friend who responded very well while solving the question along with me. Even though while solving this question again or practicing this question again, if you find any sort of the trouble or any, you can say the doubt, don't worry, you can ask me in the next lecture, as you can put it in the query itself. Okay. Thanks, friend. Thanks for today. We are going to wind the today's class. Thank you very much for your support and the time which you spare for this particular class. Okay. Bye all. Good night.